Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. It's going to be much shorter than the monthly readings because it's designed to be more of an energetic snapshot. See where you are right now, what's coming towards you, and give you a bit of advice. See if we can't ease the way for you a little. If you want any information, have a look in the description box because the chances are I've put it down there already. So I'm going to pull 3 cards to see where you are right now. 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and then 3 cards of advice. So, with all of that out of the way, and 3 cards for Scorpio, please. Where is Scorpio right now? So 3 of Pentacles. I'm not going to take it because it flipped rather than jumped, but it's interesting that it's there. It talks about working together with people. Oh, every reading, Scorpio, every reading, I have to wheedle out stuff from you. It's almost comical. 3 cards for Scorpio, please. How does Scorpio feel right now? Oh. First card we have is Strength. That's the card of Leo in the Major Arcana. The second card we have is Judgment, and that is your card. Slap bang in the middle. I like that. One more card for Scorpio, please. Kind of drifted out, that one. Let's see what it is. 6 of Swords. That's interesting. It's Aquarian energy. Right. So, card on the bottom of the deck is the 10 of Wands, and I'm not really surprised to see that here, given the other cards that have come out. It talks about burden. It talks about situations being difficult and kind of reaching breaking point with them quite often, you know, because it's a 10, it's the end of a cycle. Excuse me, horrible death rattle at the moment. Very appropriate. Now, like I said, Strength was the first card, and it's the card of Leo in the Major Arcana. But it talks about, it doesn't talk about wrestling ball or, you know, lions or whatever appears on you know, whichever strength card you've got. It talks about strength of character. It talks about that inner steel that comes from not only surviving, but coming through difficult circumstances wiser and more capable than you went into them. You know, those things that are forged in flame tend to be stronger than those things that, you know, than a paper aeroplane, say, for example. But for me, when the Strength card comes up, it means that you're dealing with something difficult, right? And that's why I say it tallies very well with the 10 of Wands. You know, something about your current situation is really, really difficult, and you are kind of struggling with it at the moment, but you're keeping on top of it. You know, there might be an emotional component to this because these animals are charging through the water, and you don't usually see water on a Strength card, but there it is. And water in the tarot talks about emotions. It talks about feelings. You know, this could be a difficult situation that, because you're a Scorpio, is very internal at the moment, you know, and you're a really deep sign. You feel things very deeply, even if you don't show it to everybody else. You know, on the outside, you're always that tough, sturdy scorpion armor. But some things had you feeling a bit some kind of way. And then we come to Judgment. Now, there are lots of different ways of interpreting this. Like I said, it's the card of Scorpio for me. It's card number 20, so it's very near the end. And one of the interpretations for it is the resurrection of situations that you thought were dead and buried, right? So it can mean second chances at things. It can mean things coming back. And it's interesting that we are literally in Mercury retrograde now. I'm sure it started yesterday, but I've seen some people saying it starts on the 18th. Whatever, we're still in the shadow period of it, even if it hasn't started yet, you know, so the power is growing before it fully turns retrograde. So this could be that you are dealing with someone who has come back to you, or maybe you are wanting to go back to somebody else. That's possible, you know. But there's a sense of the past returning, whether that's you returning to a past situation or a past situation, you know, coming back into your energetic sphere. It is definitely of the past. And then we've got the Six of Swords. Now, the Six of Swords talks about moving away from situations, right? And it's one of a number of cards that talk about this in the tarot, but they're all slightly different and they're all quite nuanced, because you've got the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Cups is about realizing there's no emotional investment left to make in a situation. Like, it doesn't matter how much more effort you put into it, you're not going to get back out of it what you want. Six of Swords is slightly different, because this is moving away from a situation, and quite often the water is depicted as choppy here and going off into calmer seas here. Interestingly, I'm noting that the water is really calm here on the outside, on the surface rather. But most importantly, the swords are in the boat, and the swords are the words and their communication and their thoughts and thought processes, you know. So interestingly, symbolically, these are being taken away, you know. Although a situation has been left behind, perhaps a conversation has stuck in someone's mind, stuck in your mind. That's possible. I'm going to break my rule and pull another couple of cards, because I'm quite interested, because we've got a card of perhaps coming back and we've got a card of moving away. It's quite a conflicted energy, which it wouldn't surprise me if you were sat in at the moment. Maybe you're ping-ponging between the possibility of going back to something and moving away fully from it. But there's a sense that you haven't fully let go, or if this is somebody in your environment, they haven't let go of you entirely, you know. Physically, they may have moved, but certainly mentally, they've taken an aspect with it, or you've taken an aspect of yourself, you know, of them with you. Can I have another card for the Judgment, please? Two of Pentacles. Yeah, now it's a card of juggling, if you will. That's often the word used there, and that lends some credibility to the feeling that I have, that you're kind of in quite an indecisive frame of mind. It would also explain why it's feeling quite burdensome, like you literally can't pick which way you're supposed to go. I'm going to card the Six of Swords, please. We've got the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands here. These are both cards of new starts. And one is in love and one is in passion. So, you know, maybe this is a relationship that you're thinking about going back to. But whatever it is, it's something that had a great amount of investment in it from another person or from you. Yeah. Yeah, and you're feeling pretty trapped. Like, you're feeling really stuck. This indecision got you going nowhere, right? That's really interesting. And on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Three of Swords, which talks about heartbreak. It talks about it can sometimes talk about third-party situations, but to be honest, I rarely see it like that. You know, it's a card of visceral pain for me, emotional pain. You know, it's grieving, it's loss, it's all of those things. And here we are with you, stuck in a decision, like stuck not even making the decision actually, but just, you know, one day you want one thing, the next day you want another, and you're not actually committing to any course of action. Maybe it involves a Leo, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's something that you are finding so difficult that it's actually causing you to emotionally level up in some way. You've got the water on the card there. Oh, We're so complicated, Scorpio. Right, let's have a look and see what's coming towards you for the last couple of weeks of February. What's coming towards Scorpio? Ooh. Another one. And one more. King of Pentacles. Interesting. On the bottom of the deck now we've got the moon, and for me the moon is the card of Cancer. There may be a Cancer involved, that may be important, maybe not, but it talks about, although it's the card of Cancer for me, right, look how deep that water is, right? I get a kind of scorpionic vibe off it anyway, because still waters run deep, and this is what it is. But it's a card of the internal, it's a card of the subconscious, it's a card of those subconscious motivators, you know, because it's things that are hidden, it's things that are obscured. So it's possibly feelings that you have that you don't even, you know, really understand the root of yet, and maybe that's why you're in such an indecisive frame of mind about it, because you don't actually understand where these feelings are coming from. You don't understand why you can't just make a decision, you know. Excuse me. So what we've got coming towards you for the last couple of weeks of February is an interesting array of cards. We've got the Knight of Cups, the Hermit, and the King of Pentacles, right? Water energy, earth. Now, this could be a Virgo, right? That's possible. This could be a Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. That's possible. And this could be, you know, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. I usually see the Knight of Cups as Pisces, to be honest. But they don't have to be people, they can be energies, and I feel like they are energies in your case. So the Knight of Cups is an offer, right? An offer of emotion, an offer of love. He's got one cup in his hand, and it's the Ace of Cups right there. The Ace of Cups just flipped when we were looking at your energy here. And this feels like maybe you've decided to pick a direction. That's possible. Or maybe this is something that's coming towards you. This is somebody with their cup outstretched to you going, hey baby, do you want a bit of my cup? But then we have the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is exactly as it sounds. This is somebody who retreats, you know, but it's kind of a strategic retreat, because it's not hiding, it's seeking. And this is about going within to find the answers, and knowing that the answers are within you somewhere. You know, there's a snake down here. For me, snakes talk about wisdom, you know, not just knowledge, but wisdom, which is the application of knowledge. And it's interesting, as these cards are lying on my table, you know, the Knight of Cups is coming this way, the Hermit is facing this way, and the King of Pentacles is looking directly at me. So these two are going to collide. Now, is this your energy? Is this offer that's coming towards you going to send you into a bit of a tailspin, cause you to, you know, scuttle backwards and retreat while you kind of figure everything out? Or is this you going towards a Virgo? Is this you going towards somebody and your approach making them go into a bit of a, you know, into a bit of a hermit mode? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. So tell me more about Knight of Cups, please. Yeah, so we've got the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords talks about making an intellectual decision. It feels like you've made a choice. You know, this chap's here is going to cut the head off the snake, and maybe the snake is your indecision. You know, chop the head off it and move in a direction. Because then we've got the Chariot, which is another card of Cancer. So that's two Cancer cards we've got there. But that talks about moving forwards very decisively, very victoriously. You know, it's also a card of the self. And it's interesting that it should have come up when I was literally just talking about not knowing where your own feelings are coming from, not understanding your own drivers and your own motivators and stuff like that. It seems like maybe you're getting a handle on that in the next couple of weeks. Let's have a look at this Hermit. Why is this Hermit here for Scorpio, please? Whoa. Okay. Where's the Hermit here for Scorpio? 3 of Cups. It's interesting because as the cards lie on the table, the Hermit card is directly underneath the Judgment card, right? So there's you as Scorpio, or possibly a situation that you're going back to or is coming back to you. And then there's this deep introspection, there's this stillness to find the answers within, right? And to clarify, we have the Devil and we have the 3 of Cups. Now, I think it's the person that you're approaching, because we've got a situation of coming back and we've got the Hermit as a response. That's how it feels to me. And what's driving the Hermit is this, right? The Devil and the 3 of Cups. The Devil is quite a toxic energy, you know, and like the best thing that you can say about the Devil is that there's a great creativity with this card. But more often than not, I think it's hilarious that this depiction is he's literally dropping his fruit all over the place, like, you know, sailing around, sowing his grapes. It talks about toxicity, it talks about codependence, it talks about materialism, but more than anything else, it talks about fear, right? And it's a fear of being chained, it's a fear of being bound to a certain situation. And that's why I feel like this approach is going to be met with this reaction, because whoever you're approaching, and remember the energies can flip, so maybe I'm talking to the cross-watcher about, you know, what you're going to do. You take it as it resonates to you. I've got this kind of, this real snap feeling about this. Like it's not a slow wander off into a cave. It's sending someone straight into a formal retreat. Like, what the fuck? Because there's this sense of binding here, and I'm not sure that this person wants to be bound, right? But the fact that they're going into hermit mode, they're looking for the answers, means that there's a degree of sophistication of understanding from this person, right? They get the magnetism, they get the effect that you have on them, and I feel like it's very strong, because they wouldn't snap, like I'm feeling that snap straight into hermit. So they're checking themselves, right? They're checking their understanding of themselves, and it feels like they're maybe a bit better at it than you are, right? And they're trying to work out what they are afraid of, what they are responding to, you know, making sure it's you and you know, your approach, or whether it's stuff from the past, you know, all these kind of things. And we've got the Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups can talk about third-party situations. For me, it's that is the one card that talks about third-party situations, like lots of other people say, like I said about the Three of Swords, that it's any of the threes, but that's the one from me. Like, for me, that's three people drinking from cups. And it's interesting, in this scene, in this card, there is one illuminated figure who looks very actually innocent and naive, and there are two kind of more muted characters that kind of blend in with the background. And I get a sense that this person is walking on their own, you know, has been walking on their own for a while, and they've kind of shed a lot of stuff, purified themselves almost, because maybe the reason that you're not together is because, you know, you were not faithful. Again, remember, energies can flip. I can be talking about somebody else with regard to the way that they treated you. That's totally possible, right? That's a, you know, a cheating third party scenario kind of situation, or just somebody who wasn't put where they were supposed to be put in your feelings, right? And they turned away from it because they knew that the effect that you had was so strong on them that they needed to do it for their own good, right? Your reappearance snap back. One more card for that, please. Yeah, see, we've got the Nine of Swords on the bottom of the deck now. This is mental turmoil right there. You know, it can be depression, it can be grief, it can be all of those things, but it's somebody in a bad place in the head. You know, kind of feel like, because it looks like it's the same character. Is that woman there? Is that woman there? You know, I feel like this character did a lot of fixing of themselves. You know, kind of washed the dress, washed the hair, and now they're walking in the light. And then we've got the Ten of Pentacles reversed. That way up, it talks about, you know, material fulfillment and all that kind of thing, but it talks about family and it talks about solid commitment as well. It's come out that way round. And I feel like somebody in this situation did not solidly commit in the same way as the other person did. And that hurt them. It hurt them a lot. And it took a lot for them to walk away. But they did. Or maybe you left them. That's possible also. But ultimately, whoever it is has done a lot of work on themselves, and your reappearance, or their reappearance to you, is throwing them back into a space that they didn't think that they would be in. Now, the final card that you've got for what's coming towards you is the King of Pentacles, and that is, like I said, that's the card of potentially an earth sign. So we're talking Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus, strictly Taurus. You know, any of those. And it doesn't have to be a man just because it's a king. It's just the masculine presentation of the energy, right? But it's the pinnacle of the suit. Right? This is somebody who has, because it's earth energy, and there's an element of stepped progression. This is somebody who's worked their way up to the top, right? They started small and they worked up. It's somebody who understands duty, understands responsibility, you know, and for whom the house and the home and the security is super important, right? And maybe this is that person. Maybe this is you. Maybe this is what you're bringing to the table, because he's a very committed character, this one, right? Some might say he's a little... Well, all of the kings have shadow aspects, to be fair. And in its upright position, this is somebody who takes care of other people, you know, because it pleases him to do so. He doesn't do it out of a sense of duty and responsibility. His sense of duty and responsibility is fundamental to his core, and he wants to do this. It gives him great pleasure to do this, you know. But he's probably got a decent job. You know, he's well provided for. He provides for his family. Why is the King of Pentacles here, please? Six of Wands. Yeah, it feels like this is somewhat of a victorious return. Yeah. And then we've got the Knight of Cups again. Like, this is either someone coming towards you, or this is what you are showing to the person that you're returning to, right? Take it as it resonates. But we're talking about somebody who has gone away and done their thinking, and they're ready to commit, right? They're ready to give it everything that they've got. They're ready to make their life about looking after their own, right? Because we've got the Six of Wands, you know, we've got this dude riding back into town on horseback, you know, being lauded by all of these characters around. You know, he's successful, he has done something, you know, presumably very heroic and brave, and sorted himself out. You know, maybe he's got himself a cushy new job, maybe he's started his own business. Whatever it is, there's a sense that where this character or this energy was perhaps a little bit flaky before, now it is improved. But it's interesting that the Devil and the King of Pentacles are both earth energy, and there's the capacity of both to be quite materialistic and three-dimensional rather than, you know, anything higher. And then we've got this Knight of Cups again. Like, this is triumphant procession back into town to bring this energy in. What I'm not seeing is how well this will be received. You know, because we've got this Hermit energy, but that's it. Not seeing an outcome, which makes me think that there isn't going to be an outcome foreseeable for the last 2 weeks of February. You know, whatever occurs, whatever transpires, probably going to be March before you see any result from it. So can I have 3 cards of advice for Scorpio, please? Wow, it's the first one. Oof. 2 cards of advice for Scorpio, please. Wow. So at the bottom of the deck now we've got the Hanged Man, and the message from the Hanged Man could either be prepared to wait, because that's possible, or consider the possibility that there are other ways to look at this situation that you are not, and perhaps this person is, right? But in terms of actual advice that we have on the table, 2 of the 3 cards are Major Arcana, so this is really quite important. The first one is the King of Cups, right? And this is strictly the card of Scorpio. Could indicate Pisces and Cancer as well, but it is Scorpio, right? Aside from being you, it is the card of someone, you know, again, it's the pinnacle of the suit, it's the second king. It's somebody who has mastered all of the lessons that are acquired progressing through the court, right? So this is someone who is open. This is someone who is receptive. This is someone who is emotionally available. And if you are not emotionally available, get back on your horse and go home again, because I'm not sure that the approach of being materially successful is going to be enough to pull this person out of a hermit mode in the way that you want, right? Because there's wounding here and there's hurt here. I don't think that this person's going to be impressed with your persona of, you know, being a successful businessman or getting an awesome job or having a nice car and all that kind of thing, right? You have to sit on your throne and you have to own your emotions. You have to be able to sit in them comfortably and be emotionally available, because if you're not, like, you're not going to get anywhere. But then we have the Star. Now that's the card of Aquarius, but it's often called the wish card, you know. And it talks about holding on to hope, you know, however small that is, trusting your intuition and following your star, you know, follow where you are guided to go. Beautiful star up there in the sky, you know, and this woman's kind of, she's got her arms out and she's imploring, you know. But it's also a card of healing. And coming up together with these, it suggests that emotional healing is what is needed from you, not necessarily financial security or material security, anything like that. You know, this is where you need to be going with this. This is the star that you should be following. And then we've got the Lovers, and I'm going to pull another card for that, because for me the Lovers is a choice, right? It was first depicted as a man with 2 women, and he was being called to make a choice between them. That's the origin of the card. Now, obviously, now it has kind of like lovey-dovey overtones and stuff like that, but I don't read it that way. For me, it's still purely a choice. And so I like to kind of have an either-or when it appears, rather than ending it on that. Another card for the Lovers, please. Another card for the Lovers. Nope. I asked for 1, I got 3. The universe doth bless me. Now this is interesting, because it's possible now, with there being 3 cards, to have the either or being the either, you know, or, because instinctively I've put this 6 of Cups over the top of the Lovers, right? This person that you're considering going back to, or who is considering, returning to you, is a soulmate, right? And the Lovers and the Six of Cups together, that's a soulmate connection. But on the other side, we've got the Four of Cups, we've got the Queen of Pentacles, and we've got the Seven of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Cups, talks about the rejection of offers often. It talks about taking things for granted sometimes. But it feels like, because we've got this Queen down here now, you've got the King here. Whoever you're approaching has a far greater sense of their own self-worth than they ever did when they were with you, I think. And they have elevated themselves, and they've done it by themselves, and they've done it off the back of, shitty behaviour. And obviously, again, I might be talking to you, I might be talking to the cross-watcher. And it feels like there's a distinct possibility that your approach will be rejected because this person values themselves much more now than they ever did, and the possibility of history repeating itself, or even just the acknowledgement of just how toxic your effect is on them, how difficult it is to escape. There's a real magnetism that I'm getting off here, particularly with this, because the Lovers is a mirror image of the devil. But this is overseen by angels, and this is overseen by demons. It's the point where this goes too far, it pops out at the devil, right? It's card number 6, card number 15, which reduces to 6. They are the same, but different, right? I'm not sure that this person's going to go for it, because it's obviously triggered some sort of learning experience for them, and I don't think that they're going to be particularly inclined to want to repeat it, because we've got the Seven of Pentacles, which for me is a card of taking a sit rep, right? It's having a look at the situation, considering themselves, considering you. And it's a situation in which some degree of effort and care, time and resources of whatever description were invested. But this is a point where you stand there and you go, I'm not sure if the crop that I produced from that is to my liking. I'm not sure that it's very healthy. I'm not sure that it hasn't actually got potato blight or something, And it's making a decision about whether to continue investing or whether to entirely divest. Which is interesting, because that's exactly the energy that you've been setting at the top here. Do I invest further, return, or do I divest, move away? You're putting this person in exactly the same point, and it doesn't look terribly hopeful on this side. And I suspect it's because you're not necessarily approaching in the right way. This arguably is a triumph of style over substance. The King of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, Six of Wands, triumphant procession, triumphant return, when actually probably what this person wants is this. So consider your options and consider your approach, and consider whether you are in fact doing it the right way for the result that you wish to gain. Because I don't think necessarily it's the case. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're all well and everything, and I'll see you in a week or so for the March monthlies.